if you text me or call me and tell me you love me, if I don't respond, what happens?
Don't come home.
But if I text you or I call you and I say I love you and you say okay,
I don't say okay.
Sometimes you don't respond.
Well, if I'm in an appointment,
but I'm supposed to stop my appointment, walk out the room, and say,
"No,
my wife
it's not that. It's not that."
Me. I need it.
Because I feel like I know
held to the cross for it, right?
No,
it's no different than the apology. It's no different than the apology thing. Is that you don't feel like you're wrong for having not to respond to me, but if I don't respond to you, then immediately I'm wrong for not responding to you. There's no difference in if you're going to apologize to me or not. Because here's what happens when the apology happens on your time. It makes all men feel like they just want to move forward. They're not really apologizing. They're just saying, I'm sorry so we can move on.
That hyper-independence, hyper-masculinity, especially with black women, is a trauma response. We don't feel safe. So when we don't feel safe or we don't feel like you can handle anything or we don't feel like you can be assertive or you can be ambitious or you can go out there and do what you need to do for our family, then somebody has to, and I got to do it for me and my child, right? So it's really a trauma response. Nobody wants to be this like aggressive, confrontational, like who wants to be like that?
I keep telling black women that to raise a child, they say, well, I provided with food, clothing, and shelter. That's not raising a child, that's maintaining one. To raise a child, you need a parental coalition of a man and a woman. We have sons who, by not having a father in the home, they don't know how to respect women. They take on the black feminine female emotionalism. They're doubtful, they're indecisive, they can't make a decision. They don't know what to do about being a man because we can't teach them that. We don't have that knowledge. We have daughters who grow up in a home where they don't see any affection, where there's no man there. They go out into the world and try to mate. They don't have no idea how to be no woman to no man, how to function in a house with a man, because they haven't seen it. Most of our children, just like us, get all the information we have about how you be with a mate off television. It's the only medium that shows us anybody being together. Those rules have not worked for us. The white woman's liberation movement, we don't have anything to do with that. We have not been under the control of the black man for over 500 years, so what do we have to get liberated from them from? They haven't been our boss. That's the white woman and her man. They're going through that, and that's their business. We don't have any business being in that. They only introduced it to break down the civil rights movement. Civil rights movement started with the black man, the black woman, and the black child standing together, trying to plead for freedom, justice, and equality, and more benefits in the country that they had built. They threw the white woman in there with the women's liberation movement and made it a woman against man thing. That created a big separation between black men and black women because then everybody started going for self. Then they bring the welfare system in and tell us in order to feed and clothe and house our children, we have to give up our man. You have to put the man out of the house. When the white farm wife goes to the government for subsidy for the farm, they don't tell her to get rid of the farmer, they keep that family together. But in the black community, they make it a requirement because they want to keep endorsing into the black community that the black man is no good and that he is not deserving of respect, he is not deserving of us letting him give us any protection or instruction, and that we are better than them. The major responsibility that the black woman has had on the earth for the trillions of years that we have been here has been one of nutrition and birthing children. Those two things have a great deal to do with the survival of any people, the reproduction of the nation, and feeding them the proper food so that they can live. Those are very important jobs. Those are very powerful positions because it puts us in a position to decide who's going to live or die and how slow they're going to die by what we feed them. We have a very powerful position. That's not a small role that we play. We have just been taught to misrepresent and misuse that power. The people who we have been counting on to give us the truth about how to get along have failed. The white people don't know how to get along. They don't have that information themselves. They don't get along with nobody on earth. So they didn't have no information to impart to us about how we're supposed to get along. They change their relationship rules at will. We have, tons of black children around this country that I hear from who have grown up traumatized by the fact that they were referred to as the outside child. When we were having children like that, they called it illegitimate children until the white woman started having them, and now it's single parenting. society. They change the rules according to what they're doing. So I've called on our people to change them depending on what we want to do.
During a lengthy courtship, she is available and willing to try anything the black man suggests. She is thoughtful in sending him cards or little love notes, taking time to do special little favors for him. His favorite meal, his favorite color, his favorite treatment, expressed using her favorite plot. Her flexibility and happy behavior turns out to be a gross misrepresentation of how she really is. After the point when she feels confident, she asks the man, she starts to take a kind of inventory. She memorized and categorized all of her man's little idiosyncrasies that she plans to change. She believes she will be able to change the black man by subtle prodding and sweet requests. Sometimes these changes are monumental rearrangements of his personality that he has had all of his life. Nevertheless, she thinks that she can change him, and she does not doubt that she is the one to change him. The black man knows nothing about this plan and believes that she accepts him as he is, just as he has accepted her. It may take quite a while for the initial passionate attraction to subside, and this all fun-filled time of dating, dinners, travel, calls, and uninhibited sexual play. The black man thinks that her attention and interest will last indefinitely. The black woman knows that they will not. She wanes him slowly using excuses and justifiable sounding explanations. When the black woman becomes busy with normal life activities, the first thing she gives up, eliminates, or sacrifices is loving attention to the black man. She believes that after she gets him, he is expendable and adult and should understand when she has more pressing things to do. If anything has to be squeezed in, it's him. If anything has to be squeezed out, it is also him. Instead of his care being paramount, it becomes something the black woman does on the run. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward, continuing my reading of Sister Shahrazad Ali's book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. This is chapter 4, The Wedding, the Beginning. And, you know, last week we talked about the 4 different archetypes of black women that have came about over the years. The lower class woman, the middle class woman, the high class woman, and the Afrocentric looking woman. All of these women having flaws, but are able to be rehabilitated into being black wives. Because in her estimation, the current state that these women exist in, they're not wives. And the most difficult one, or the most estranged one, is the high class woman, because she's the one more apt to be the pawn in the system of white supremacy. And she's benefiting from being that pawn in the system of white supremacy. But in this chapter, we're talking about the actual marriage. Now, I have no experience in marriage. So this is information coming from the book. This is information coming from other people who were married. I have no experience in being married. Of course, I have opinions, but once again, my opinions come from theory, not practice. So I just want to put that out there from the beginning. So this is not me trying to push my ideas and my opinions on marriage or black marriage, but this is me responding to the opinions of others who are married and who are still married. So let's pick up page 37. So this chapter started on page 35. So I'm picking up at the first paragraph on page 37. While it is a natural occurrence for work, the house, and the children to take up a certain amount of time, it is not a natural occurrence for the loving attention to the black man to stop. The time may become shorter to express it, but it should not become more infrequent. If the black woman develops giving attention to the black man as part of her daily living, it will preserve a thrill of the relationship to establish a closeness not always based on sexual intimacy. It is not that she necessarily takes him for granted. It is just that she does not place the right value on his presence. In some homes, he walks into the house and is completely ignored. He is often made to feel like an intruder in his own household, someone who is sometimes in the way of other things and people who are more important to the Black woman than the Black man. And in my opinion, from what I've observed from the way we are socialized and conditioned in the information that we pick up from relationships and marriage, it is the idea that the man is not needed, he's not important, he's not necessary, and he's expendable. Especially the Black man, because the Black man failed the Black woman and the Black man failed the Black community because the Black man allowed the Black woman and the Black community to become slaves. So this is from Shahrazad Ali. And I'm expounding on that, right? So that distrust, like the woman was saying in the second video, the distrust in the Black man. So I have to go get it for myself and my child and myself, though. So the distrust in the Black man. So because the Black man because the Black woman has no trust in the Black man, that I guess them being a priority won't happen either. No trust, no respect, no prioritization. I've observed women who respect their husbands, prioritize their husbands and their husband's feelings and their husband's emotions, their time for their husband, nurturing their relationship. That's what I've observed from women who are married and are in a healthy relationship with their husband, and it's reciprocated by their husband. They have a healthy marriage. They make time for their husband. Their husband is a priority, just like the wife is a priority for the husband. But in relationships that I've observed where it's not a healthy relationship, the woman will prioritize work. The woman will prioritize her friends. The woman will prioritize family. The woman will prioritize everything else that she can prioritize over the husband, because now the husband is a burden. And she feels as if the husband is in the way. And once again, like Shahrazad Ali, like I just read, the husband is adult enough to realize and understand that she has priorities and she's busy, so he should be able to take care of his grown self. You know, the reciprocation isn't there because the respect isn't there. The prioritization isn't there because the respect isn't there. So these are ideas and feelings of the Black man and the Black woman during the marriage. But now we're going to reverse it back and go back to the actual wedding ceremony and the ideas and the things around the wedding ceremony. And I think this is a very important point to hit, because a question I ask women in conversations is, what's more important to you, the wedding or the marriage? A lot of women have been honest and said the wedding is more important than the marriage, because the wedding is the day that it is about them. And then my follow-up question is, so are you marrying yourself? She says no. Well, if you're not marrying yourself, then how is the wedding day about you and not about you and your future husband? Because that's just how it is. Oh, okay. So you're going to continue failed traditions. Got it. But let's get further into this wedding ceremony and see what we learn, right? So for the contemporary Black woman, big, expensive, elaborate weddings are in. The requirements are as follows: a big ceremony, big church, big reception, big expensive wedding, big floral arrangements, big catered menus, big matching wardrobes for all the attendants, big honeymoon, big ego production, and big cash expenditures. Right? But this is the Black woman's shining hour. She is the center of attention, the star, and her wedding is the public symbol of her wonderful life waiting ahead. It is a glorious tribute to her big announcement that I got him. The Black man cooperates and participates in all of this hoopla because he is prompted by both families and mostly because he wants to please his woman. She not only wants it, she demands it. Although his nature may tell him that this is too much money to spend on publicly agreeing in front of several hundred witnesses that they are now married. Sometimes 5,000 to 50,000 or more is spent on the wedding affair, and a lot of this money comes from the black man's pocket. Gone are the days when the woman foots the bill for the entire wedding. The black woman is not concerned with the financial strain, will beg, borrow, and charge to produce this show. Later on, when viewing the videotape of this main event, it may be difficult for the black man to believe that this woman could orchestrate such a synchronized attraction, but now finds it impossible to get dinner on the table every night at a responsible time. Sometimes the woman may look at the tape over and over again, remembering what she may describe as the most beautiful period of her life. Sometimes the man gets lost in the shuffle of the wedding plans and finds himself standing around trying to figure out his part in this. Usually several family fights and disagreements occur on both sides before the grand day takes place. They rumble. After the honeymoon, the couple returns home to start living out the black woman's dream of married life. Notice she said the black woman's dream of married life. She immediately takes on the rest of the job of trying to get her life in order. It is also at this time she completely relaxes and let the black man know bit by bit that she expects him to carry out his part of the load and make a few changes. Now that they are really in the threshold of marriage without a carefully outlined or mental plan of how she intends to change her man to suit her wishes. She sees marriage as the contract whereby she can be herself, the wrong self. She believes that the only way to maintain control of her life is to maintain control of her man. This control starts by trying to keep up with him, to know his whereabouts at all times. Often she'll ask questions about where he's been and then sneakily ask him the same question in another time to see if he'll give the same response. One of the worst mistakes the black man can make when living with a black woman is to start out telling her every step she takes, every step he takes when he's not with her. The first time she tricks him into answering, she will expect an explanation from then on. The reason she uses to pry into his comings and goings are so these are excuses that she would use to pry into his comings and goings. Is one, she's saying, I worry about you. You could at least call. 2, you ask me where I go. 3, because I have the right to know I'm your wife. 4, somebody was looking for you. 5, so I know what's going on or what's happening. 6, or because I just want to know. So this is going back to what I was just saying earlier. What is more important, the wedding or the marriage? And unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's the wedding that's the most important part, right? It's the grand celebration, the grand expression, the grand display of I made it, I got my man, I am here, me, 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 me. I am the priority. I don't know about y'all, but I ain't showing up to that wedding. I don't give a damn about what nobody got to say or think about me. I ain't showing up to that wedding. Me, Joseph Ward, hell no, I won't be there. I guarantee you I won't be there. Right? If it's not about us, because from the beginning, the us's and we's are building. We are building. And it's going to maintain that way. And if you're not down to maintain the we, then this not the team you need to be on. That's how I'm coming about it. That's how I've always been about it. That's why I have the team concept. If you're not down with playing your part, and if you're not down with contributing to making this team win, it's a us thing. And if you're not down with that, if you think the wedding is about you, then you think the rest of this, it should be about you. Like, I'm just supposed to show up to please you. All right. Yeah. All right. Not Joseph Ward. Can't do it. Won't do it. Can't win like that. Can't win with them. won't win with her. This is a team thing, right? We have to go back to really valuing each other and what each other bring to the table. Why did you choose this person? Why did you choose to partner with this person? Why did you choose to get into a relationship with this person? Why did you choose to couple with this person? Especially if you don't respect them, if you don't trust them. Why did you choose to do that? Why are you choosing to put each other's genitals in each other's mouths if y'all don't respect each other, if y'all don't trust each other? Don't make sense. I don't trust you, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my face in it or let you put it deep in my throat. It don't make sense. But that's what we're out here doing. The sex holds more weight than the respect and the trust. We wanna satisfy our carnal desires instead of actually building something solid and reliable and something that's long lasting. Gaining power. So certainly if the black man desires to inform the black woman of his whereabouts, where he can do so. But the problem in trying to comply with her slanted curiosity, which is really interrogation, is that the black man can never be sure at which point in the deposition he would give the wrong answer and put her in a mental hell that may last for days. Her questions represent distrust and insecurity. She spends a lot of time during her day thinking up ways to burst the black man, and she will worry over any unsettled details and could the atmosphere with suspicion and doubt, the two most baneful emotions in her relationship. Although she won't admit it, her position is that if you ain't with me or a crowd of witnesses, then you must be doing something wrong. Or if you ain't with me, then you must be with somebody else. Or how come you can't tell me where you work? She does not really believe that what she doesn't know can't hurt her. Everything hurts her. And she thinks it's the black man's fault. If the black woman could take a moment to be truthful and admit her fears and the root of her despair, she will have better communications with the black man. And honesty is what she says she wants, but she only wants it from one side, his. And you can't win like that. But when you are serious about somebody, especially like building with somebody long term, like y'all, like we finna lock in and do this. From what I have learned, of course, not from my experience, but from what I have learned, you got to be upfront and honest, and you got to put stuff on the table. You got to talk. You have to have real conversations. You got to work things out, and you have to learn how to compliment each other and you know, come to a consensus, come to an agreement, come to a win-win. The relationship should be a win-win situation. The agreements that you all have for each other should be win-wins, right? It's not one person is there to placate to the ego of the other. Yes, we have different positions to play. We have different roles to play. But that doesn't mean that just because my role is this and your role is that my role is more important than yours. Once again, my football analogies. The quarterback is not more important than the offensive line. That the offensive line's job is ugly. It's rough. It's a lot less glamorous than the quarterback's job. But the quarterback knows at the end of the day, the offensive line do not block for him. He cannot get that ball off. If he can't get that ball off, they can't win. The husband may be the head of the household, but that household don't win without the wife doing her part. And the husband has to trust the wife to do her part, but the wife has to trust the husband to do his part. But the wife should not join the team where she don't have the trust in the husband to do his part. That don't make sense. So it has to be both people coming in understanding that, hey, we both flawed. You know, we done both been through some shit. We done both done some shit. But we both grown from this. We should have grown. So we shouldn't be in the dating market if we haven't grown from our past, if we're not growing, if we're not working, if we're not healing, right? But don't get into the dating market if you're in the beginning stages of your healing process. You still wasting people's time. Get out of the dating market. Go get yourself together, and then come back in when you good, when you've healed, because that's the term we like to use, right? When you're healed. Do that. Get out of the dating market if you ain't got your stuff together. Wasting people's time. Knowing you ain't out here trying to build nothing. So here is another point that Shahrazad Ali often makes. The current Black woman denies any notions of yearning to be under the Black man's control. She pushes the idea out of her mind by recalling that he doesn't deserve it anyway. Why? Because he will not do what she wants him to do. Because it's about her, right? This particular Black woman, it's about her. She does not know the luxury of relaxing and living her life for her Black man and doing everything she can do to make him happy. By letting the Black man be the head of the family, she could revive him. And by getting behind him and supporting him, he could be free. The Black woman cannot know freedom until the Black woman does. The wise say a man can rise no higher than his woman. Until the Black woman makes a conscious choice to start respecting the Black man, he will remain in his current condition and decline even more. Some Black women say that they are unsatisfied with the status quo of their relationships and wouldn't have it any other way. They are lying. They are just trifling and enjoying quibbling and using these tactics to delay the inevitable for as long as possible, which is the breakup. So, once again, we are in a day and time where the idea of the Black man being, or any man, but especially the Black man being in control is laughed at. In large part, is laughed at. I don't understand how you get into a relationship with a man that you don't trust his ability to lead you. I don't understand that. That don't make sense to me. To get into a relationship and then continue into a relationship, to a long-term relationship, and sometimes get into a marriage with a man that you feel is inadequate to lead. Now, after careful and a realistic evaluation, is he actually able and capable of leading, and is he actually leading? And if the answer is yes, then baby girl, the problem is you. You need to take a step back, go evaluate yourself. You are not growing. But a lot of us come into these relationships with these negative mindsets and these negative thoughts and these preconceived notions, these what I want to say, what's the word? It's like, you say it, you continue to say it, and it becomes true. I can't think of the word right now, but you talk the negativity into existence. Can't think of the term I want to use right now, but basically you talked about the negative aspects of the relationship so much that it became the reality. You concentrated on the negative so much that it became the reality. Matter of fact, you manifested a negative person in your life because you were so stuck into your negativity. You haven't fixed the negative, and you still have the baggage from the past with you. You're not ready to move forward. You're not ready to be a wife. You're not ready to be a husband. Because remember, you should be a wife when I find you. You should be a husband when y'all meet. You should be that when y'all meet. You should have the qualities and the qualifications of wives and husbands when you meet. And then if you all are compatible and if you all work good together, and if you all are willing to work together, because at the end of the day, all that compatibility, all that stuff, it just come down to will. Do I really want to do this with you or not? Let's throw all the cuteness out the window, right? Let's stop being fake. It all really comes down to will. Do I like you, and am I willing to build with you? And if the answer is yes, then what we talking about? Let's do this. If the answer is no, then you need to find somebody who you like and who you're willing to build with. It comes down to will. it really ain't too difficult. We make this stuff a little too difficult. Am I willing to build with you? That the reason why we don't have as many families nowadays as we did in the past is because people are not willing to build. So this page, starting on page 40, she's talking about the actual ceremony, the wedding ceremony. So most have seen pictures of the white caveman walking with a club. So context. She's giving history of the modern wedding ceremony that we follow, the tradition, the modern wedding ceremony traditions that Black people follow. She's saying this come from the white man, and not just the white man, but the white man from the cave days. And this is the process of how the wedding or the symbols of the weddings, this is what they mean. So most have seen the pictures of the white caveman walking with the club over his shoulder, dragging the white woman behind him. This picture is the brunt of the many jokes suggesting that this is how the white man claimed his woman. The following definitions explain how they came to use the seemingly timeless marital rights. So the ring is symbolic of the rope, the cord or vine used to tie up the woman, the bride, in order to conquer her. And it was used to bind her wrists and ankles while kidnapping her from her tribe. This was done by the groom. The ring bearer is the man who went with the groom to steal the bride. He is the one who carried the extra rope. It took 2 to 3 men to pull the heist. The attendants, the best man, was the one who went with the groom to steal the bride. The throwing of rice is symbolic of the rocks and stones the family of the bride threw after the groom. When the bride screams awakened the family and they saw she was being taken. The honeymoon is symbolic of the cooling off period that followed the taking of the bride. The groom would take her up into the mountains or some far off place and keep her there until she came to submission to him. Carrying over the threshold, symbolic of the groom carrying the bride into his cave, her new home. He had to carry her because she would not walk in voluntarily. The maiden of honor is the woman in the groom's tribe, usually his mother or friend, who helped the new bride adjust to learn to the new ways of life in the cave. The veil came into practice around 1500 as a form of spirituality, which was designed to keep evil spirits away from the face of the bride. The bride used to throw her garter from around her thigh, also symbolic of the rope or ring used to bind her when kidnapped. But white men used to create such a brawl at the wedding scuffles for the garter that this practice was dropped, and the bride took the throwing of the bouquet to the women who were more civilized in their participation. Few Black women know that they are doing what they plan to host a big church wedding. She doesn't care. She should take the time to use her own history to have a wedding ceremony and make up her own vows. So once again, this is Shahrazad Ali giving you a history of what she's saying. The symbols of the wedding are. So once again, let's go over. So it's the ring bearer, the best man, the throwing of rice, the honeymoon, the carrying over the threshold, the maiden of honor, and the veil. So these came from what she's saying. These came from cave white men and the symbols that they used to conquer and subdue the women that they stole from the families to become their wives. So she follows that up with saying we need to come up with our own practices for us, like our own stuff for Black Americans. And I've been saying that Black Americans, we have to come up with our own customs for us that are not rooted in anybody else's customs or culture, right? But we're also not just coming up with our own vows, respecting the vows that we recite. I have so many conversations with people, men and women, but I do particularly have conversations with Black women because I'm curious about what Black women think. And ones, a number of ones that I've had conversations with, they don't respect the vows. They don't respect the sanctity. What they respect is their feelings and how they feel and what their reality and what their space should be at this time. I am not happy, so I have to get out because it's about me. It's not the team. It's not a we. It's not a us. It's a me. So a lot of women, even before getting into marriages that I've talked to, are already coming into the relationships with the individualistic attitudes of what can this man do for me? Of not how can we build? How can I contribute to us building and growing and being who we need to be? It's what can he do for me while I do for me? Because I already have my own home. I already have my own job. I already have my own car. I already have my own things that adults are supposed to have. Right? Good. You got your own job. You got your own car. You got your own house. Cool. You're taking care of yourself. You're not a bum on the street. You shouldn't be. You're an adult. You may or may not have a degree. If most likely you have a degree. Cool. How does that prevent you from being a cooperative wife? Why is that preventing you from being a cooperative wife? And the men who are looking for women who don't want to be cooperative wives, they weak. They're weak. They're weak men. Why would you want an uncooperative person? I tell you why, because then he don't have to be the lead. He don't have to be the head. The responsibility is off him for making sure the family goes. Hey, man, I told you I'm the quarterback of this team and we win Super Bowls. You heard me? When the Black woman commences to anticipate marriage, she made widespread changes, which are a trick. All of a sudden, she may get real wifey. She'll cook homemade meals, clean the house a lot, and perform any other feat designed to impress the Black man into recognizing her as a good woman who can perform the necessary duties. She knows that this is the kind of behavior she wants from a woman, so she kicks in and does the things he is sure will please him. And it does. Eventually, he will pop the question, except he really doesn't pop the question as much as the Black woman makes the suggestion and leans on him until he agrees. This short period in which the Black woman makes heaven for the Black woman, in this short period where the Black woman makes heaven for the Black man proves that she knows how, but she does the right things for the wrong reasons. Her motivation is treachery and therefore short-lived. Her sometimes abrupt halt to the good treatment is a normal evolution to her. And she feels that she should have known what the deal was from the get-go. And she feels that he should have known what the deal was from the get-go. When the Black man realizes he is not only being neglected, but nearly ignored, the good sister may go into Nut City and appear baffled. She doesn't know what he means. Then she explains in great detail why things have changed. She sometimes gives him a choice between what duties he wishes her to perform, since she can't do both. This is wrong. The Black man has every right to expect and solicit the Black woman to perform her wifely duties to him and the family. The Black man and the family, including the house, must have first priority. The Black women who believes themselves to be so modern as to dismiss the home as a place to bathe and change are suffering from a misunderstanding. The misunderstanding is that they must change with the trends instead of creating the trend that serves them the best to protect the Black nation. Any Black woman who is not concerned with the Black nation as a whole does not deserve to have a Black man. Any Black woman who is not concerned with the Black nation as a whole does not deserve to have a Black man. Any Black woman who is not concerned with the Black nation as a whole does not deserve to have a Black man. Any Black woman who is not concerned with the Black nation as a whole does not deserve to have a Black man. And I said it 4 times because you need to hear it 4 times. The family must be first. The black man, his purpose must be first, and the Black woman, her family must be first. There are sacrifices in this that we're both making. But I believe the woman is also tied into the purpose of the Black man. The Black nation is also tied into the purpose of the Black man. My purpose is to make myself as great as asset as possible for for my family, for my woman. I'm going to be great for my woman. I'm going to be great for my children. I'm going to be great for my family. I'm going to be great for my community, and I'm going to be great for my nation. My purpose is to build myself into the greatest version of myself, for myself, for my woman, for my children, for my family, for my community and my nation. If I'm not doing that, why you shouldn't be with me. The Black man who is not doing that does not deserve a Black woman. The Black man who is not building himself up to be the greatest asset to his nation does not deserve a Black woman. But the Black woman also has to understand that her highest priority is her family. The Black man's highest priority is his purpose. The Black woman's highest priority is her family. Taking care of that man, taking care of that house, taking care of them kids. Taking care of that man is the first thing in that, though. Pouring into that man as he pours into her. And my ideal, because, you know, for the past 20 years, studying Black history, one thing I've learned, especially going to the Egyptian or the Kemetic cosmology, you know, the Black man and the Black woman were always a pair. It's the complement. It's the complement of the masculine and feminine. And feminine, it's everywhere in nature. I was listening to a podcast earlier, and the gentleman, I'm not going to put his name out, but the gentleman was saying, another one of those gentlemen that's saying that God is a Black woman or God is a woman. I disagree vehemently. God is a force that comprises both the masculine and the feminine. And God is expressed in both the masculine and the feminine. And when both the masculine and feminine come together, the ability to create happens. We cannot create without each other. Show me a man that made a baby by himself, and show me a woman that made a baby by herself. The man implants the seed into the woman, and the woman harbors the seed. The woman doesn't create life. The man doesn't create life. They both supply the components for the creation of life. It's a joint effort. Once the man implants that seed in him, that sperm in that woman, and it gets into that egg, the woman there incubates that new human for 9 months. She's the harborer, the incubator, the nurturer of it. She didn't create it. The creation came in the process when both came together. That's why we are gods, and God is represented in both the masculine and the feminine. And that's why nature it is. You can't have up without down. Can't have left without right. Can't have good without bad. Can't have hot without cold. It's the balance of both, the masculine and the feminine. We forget that a lot. So this is page 43, the good wife syndrome. So when the Black woman starts out trying to do right, regarding her man, her home, and her family, she has a very difficult time with the personal anguish she suffers from the ridicule from other Black women. They tease and mock her for trying to fulfill her rightful obligations to her family. If she works on a job outside of home but still attempts to properly care for her family, she will be verbally assaulted. Let me read that again. If she works a job outside of the home but still attempts to properly care for her family, she will be verbally assaulted and criticized for her efforts. Being a good wife is considered dull and outdated by the modern Black woman. Other Black women will tell the good wife, 1, you're a fool for working all day and cooking all night. He'll eat if he gets hungry. 2, why don't you tell him to cook dinner? He gets home before you do. 3, you're a fool to give him all your money. You worked for it. You got a right to spend it on whatever you want to. 4, I wouldn't take it. 5, girl, you ain't his slave. 6, why don't you go to this party with us this weekend? 7, it may be for some people, but it ain't for me. I just ain't cut for it. 8, God ain't made a man I'll do that for. 9, you ought to just tell him you ain't going to do it. 10, girl, I used to do it, but I got hip. 11, You have got to train a man to do what you want him to do. And 12, it's not fair for him to expect you to do all that. The above 12 remarks are just a sample of what they say in front of her face. Behind her back, they whisper, "This is the dumbest B I've ever seen. Did you hear that ish? Girl, I bet he's having big fun while she's stuck at home. I wonder what he's telling her. Did you see how he looks? He got her in a real trick bag. I don't know how they do it. I ain't working on myself to death for nobody. Excuse me, I ain't working myself to death for nobody. She don't have no idea what's happening. I don't know how she can go for that." These are just examples. Some are more cutting than these. So another example, once again, an example of what the friends in the circle of the woman would say if they catch her actually caring for her man and her family. How dare her take care of her man and her family? How dare a woman who's in a relationship actually nurture her relationship, actually pour into her man, take care of her man, actually do things that he's asked her to do and want her to do? How dare she prioritize a man over the other stuff that the other women who don't have a man be prioritized? See, I get it now, right? If you a woman or any person that's in a relationship and it's going good, to help your relationship continue to go good, you should take advice from people who are jaded, who are bitter, who are in bad relationships, or who are not in relationships at all. You should take advice from them on how it goes wrong and apply that information. And therefore, it would make your relationship go right into the garbage can. But that's what we're doing. That's just me being funny satire of what's actually happening. What we're actually doing, we will take advice from anybody that sounds passionate. Will it sound good to me? TikTok is the new place for Black women. I know a lot of Black women I've talked to go to TikTok for their dating advice. Well, buddy on TikTok said this, and buddy on TikTok said that. And you ain't put no thought into it. You just picked it up and ran with it because it sounded good and it felt good. Gotcha. That's exactly why we're not winning. It is a travesty for Black women to criticize other Black women who are married and trying to be a good wife to their man. Being married and doing the right thing is looked upon as ignorant and old-timey. Black women make erroneous charges against the righteous Black woman who is trying to do her proper duty to her man, God, and her nation. Do proper duty to her man, her God, and her nation. She should not be mocked, but respected and admired for her good works. Any woman who deprives herself of the absolute thrill of serving and taking care of a Black man is depriving herself of a special award. The look of peace and satisfaction on the contented face of a Black man has no equal. There is no better heaven for the Black man than to have his woman in order. A Black man who is supportive, who has a supportive woman, feels good to go out to work, and his day is productive if he is at peace with his woman. The only way the Black man can be at peace with the Black woman is when she is doing what he wants her to do. A Black man who sees his woman trying to please him will do everything he can to please her. Let me read that again. I keep telling women this. A Black man who sees his woman trying to please him will do everything he can do to please her. He will make a good husband and father if given a chance. A man is proud of a good woman and a good home, and it gives him the incentive and confidence to be successful, no matter what the odds are out there. If he knows that when he comes home, he has a tender touch and attention of his woman waiting for him. Man, look, I be shouting that from the mountaintops to women all the time. Stop listening to these women. For one, stop attracting and getting in relationships with the bum dudes, with the low level dudes. And then you are pouring into these dudes, and then you get mad when nothing comes back. Well, you just poured into a garbage can, but you expected to get back. But then when you meet a good man, you're all poured out. And you don't want to pour into the man no more because you're poured out and you're jaded. And you can't pour into that man. You can't support that man. And you've listened to all the messages and all the negative narratives of why you should not pour into a man. And then you have the actual experience of pouring into the wrong men and it not working out. So now you have evidence to say that this is why you should not pour into a man. No, you always pour into a man. You never pour into a boy. But y'all been pouring into boys for a long time because you were attracted to childish things and you don't want to admit it either. You've been attracted to childish things, unproductive things for a long time. That's the stuff that make your stuff tangle. That's the stuff that gets you going. The dude who is no good for you is the one that gets your stuff tangling. Think about that. But then when you meet the dude who is good for you, you're either A, bitter, B, over the whole relationship thing, C, not attracted to him, or D, not even willing to cooperate with a man anymore. Cooperation is key, but it all comes back to will. Are you willing to work with a man? Are you willing to allow that man to lead? Are you willing to be led? And if you feel like that man can't lead you, why you with him? I hope you're not putting your mouth on him if you don't feel like he can't lead you. Because if you putting your mouth on him and you feel like he can't lead you, you crazy. You're not even ready to be dating. You need to get up out of there. You need to flag on the play. We're gonna kick you out the game. And you can't come back till you get your stuff together. The black man is the only one who knows what it takes to make the black woman happy because she has no idea what real happiness is. But she's running so much interference that the black man rarely gets a chance to be himself and release the love and trust he has because of the black woman's funky attitude. The black man cannot pattern his life in such a way as to have time or memory to constantly remind the black woman that he loves her. Right. Greatly, that's exhausting, right? Love is not a sentence. It is a demonstration. If the black woman doubts that her man loves her, the doubt grows. It does not matter after what the man tries to do or what he says. She will remain unhappy because the doubt is internal. The unhappiness is internal. It's not him, it's her. The black woman who is relaxed at home, cooking, planning a loving welcome for her man, making a dress or icing a cake is far happier than a black woman sitting at home alone under great duress, waiting on the phone to ring, trying to figure out how to find a man, or chewing her nails off wondering where he is. There is no comparison if contentment and happiness is the goal. The black woman's natural instincts have become so polluted and distorted that she has rejected the plan that works for the one that fails. She is on the wrong path and insists on stumbling on. It should be black people's greatest collective hope that at some point the total effect of the mind tampering doing the damage done to blacks during slavery has been forgotten as lightweight action that is over the past. It's much more serious and long lasting than that. It has caused the people to be morally estranged from their past. Right. And we talked about that a lot, especially when we read Dr. Joy DeGruy and all the other previous books, Dr. Francis Chris Wilson, Neely Fuller, right? The mental programming, the mental conditioning that we have taught us the Negro mindset and taught us to hate ourselves and to love everything white. Because whiteness is the example, it's the greatest example of success. All right, so let's bring this chapter home with confidentiality and trust, which is big. Any black women watching this you're still watching this at this point. Listen and listen closely, please. Please just listen and listen closely. And don't listen with your emotions. Listen with your ears. Listen with the intent to understand. Please. Black Black women reveal all of the black man's. And well, before I say this too, even though this particular thing that I read may not apply to you specifically, this is what a mass of black men experience, and this is what a mass of black men feel. So please just listen and don't take it personal if it don't apply to you. If it applies to you and you're taking it personal, that means you're gonna have to change, baby. You're gonna have to change. Ain't no sense of trying to sugarcoat it. You're gonna have to change because you're the problem, right? So black women reveal all of the black man's personal business to her friends. If the black man has any special information he tells the black women in confidence, you can be sure that her best friend or family members know too. She takes a special glee in letting her friends know the most intimate details and secrets, even his antics in bed, and anything else of a personal and confidential nature. She does not consider that a confidence has been violated, though that it is unfair to the black man who entrusted her with the information. No black woman ever tells another black woman, no black woman ever tells another black woman that she is wrong to tell her man's business to the public. The process is an agreed and acceptable dialogue among black women. It is also certain that some of the information she tells her girlfriends ends up getting whispered into the ears of the girlfriend's man. The black man is betrayed twice in this way. His business is all over town, and he doesn't even know it. She tells everything. No subject is too private or too sacred. Many black men think that the black woman is trustworthy with his innermost secrets, but she is not, and she expresses no guilt about it. Such true is the warped agreement between black women and part of their secret society with mutually agreed upon rules and bylaws. This is a women-only club that thrives daily. The membership consists of single and married women. They all do the same thing. They tell. Whenever the black woman suspects that her black man has shared their business with another man or his family, she becomes appalled. How could he do such a thing? Black men who tell are looked down upon with special disdain. She thinks that a man is just supposed to do this. She is a hypocrite. She has become so adept at attacking the black man for whatever he decides is a good reason that she functions as if he is her open enemy, and she packs an arsenal of ammunition to shoot him down at every turn. She is calculating every word he says at every move he makes, examining him to figure out ways to get him to do what she wants him to do. This constant calculations have little time for positive discoveries of ways to drop her defenses and let the man lead the way. It is not easy for a black man to be motivated if his woman doubts him or if their relationship is stormy, that it takes his head and robs him of the ability to concentrate. For some black women, for some black men, his woman is the only thing wrong in his life. She has broken his spirit deep in his heart. Wow. So, let me read this. So, the real black man does not want a woman who professes any of the six aforementioned. Well, let me read these. Some have developed what appears to be a startling attitude about the black woman being out of order. They have started to accept her disagreeable behavior as the norms and cooperate with her ignorance because he does not think he has any alternative. So many black men have commenced to saying they want a black woman who is 1, financially independent, 2, her own person, 3, can do things on her own, doesn't count on me for anything, 4, makes her own decisions, 5, is a professional career woman, 6, likes to have a good time without becoming attached. I don't like that. I've tried it. It didn't work for me. I don't like it. It don't work for me. I've been there, done that. Not going back. Right. So the real black man does not a woman who professes any of the 6 aforementioned ideas, which is financially independent, her own person, can do things on her own, does not count on me for anything, who makes her own decisions, is a professional career woman, likes to have a good time without becoming attached. Right? In his heart, he does not want this in his woman, but he is too convinced that this is the only option if he wants to be with her. And he has proven that he wants to be with her. On closer examination of the 6 postures, of the new breed Black women, it is found that one, financially independent Black women make life easier on the Black man because her wants and desires are so excessive and times are so difficult for a Black man to earn enough money to support a wife and family that he generally agrees that this is a good idea if she has her own money. He doesn't have enough for himself. He would much rather be the breadwinner in charge of the money, but if he has a woman who makes outrageous demands on his wallet, he can't compete. He knows she will never be satisfied with his provisions and therefore gives up his rightful place as chief of finance and budget. Two, her own person, meaning she demands total control of her own decision-making process. It is part of her hard-earned independence. Anything he tells her to do or any advice he renders comes under careful scrutiny. Many times the Black woman will do the direct opposite of what the Black man tells her to do just to prove him that he can't boss her around. Repetitive rejection leaves him with no alternative but to stand back and let her be her own person. Even if her own person is a fool, he watches her floundering about. And let me say something about this. Being her own person. I expect my woman to be an adult. I expect my woman to be a grown woman and to operate and behave like a grown woman, to think like a grown woman, to understand as a grown woman, to go through life as a grown woman, to take her consequences as a grown woman. Right. But in that, she has to be able to take advice and direction. Remember, you chose to be on my team. Right? You chose to be on my team. So these are the plays that are being called because through tried and true experience, we know that these plays work. That's why we calling these plays. So I'm not calling these plays to dominate you. I'm calling these plays because I know they work. So if I give you this advice, you don't take it. We're not going to have that too many times. Because once you show me that you're not a team player, it's time for me to get a new player on the team. I'm not in the business of convincing anybody to be with me, to be better, to be with me, to be a great teammate. I'm not in the business of convincing anybody to be a great teammate. You're either going to be that or you ain't. And if you're not, peace. And if you are, we winning. Super Bowl, baby. And if you can't be a great teammate, if you can't take direction, if you can't take advice, this is not a dictatorship. I'm not your daddy. I'm not here to control your life. But if I have good ideas and good suggestions and good things, and you can't take my advice, then that shows the lack of trust, lack of respect, and the lack of your commitment and will to being on this team. So you're gonna have to get cut from the team. That's the way it works in the pros. Because we're in the professional leagues. We're adults, right? In the pros, if you show that you are not adequate enough to help this team win, you get cut. Yeah. 3, can do things on her own and doesn't count on me for anything. This includes her happiness. Since the Black woman has proven by her behavior and represents that the Black man doesn't know what to do to make her happy. He has nearly given up the desire to do so. He is faced with the mental torment of knowing she rejects his ideas, but that her ideas are impossible for him to execute and fulfill. So it is best if she counts on her own self for her own happiness. She calls it freedom of choice. The Black man calls it saving himself from endless hassles and debates, predictably ending with her having her way. Number 4, who makes her own decisions? Adults should be able to do that. But anyway, the Black woman who makes her own decisions? The Black man consents to allowing the Black woman to make her own decisions. He has learned that if he persists in trying to convince her to follow his advice, he has to be prepared to argue it out for days, or he can physically force his woman to submit. The Black woman's loose and ruthless tongue eliminates the Black man's alternatives. He cannot out-talk her unless she stops to listen. Therefore, he lets her have her way. Number 5 is a professional career woman. This means she has some type of high-class title and job in some big business company. She dresses in a certain way and talks the language of whatever her job represents. The so-called corporate world, if it's not a black company, is the worst place for the black woman to be, because she exhibits the internal conflict of trying to live the impression she gives on her job and live in the real world that exists for her at home or outside the workplace. She, in making a few dollars more than her often routine job holding counterparts, the black man, is geared to compete. Sometimes the competition is so aggressive, she calls it assertive, that the black man experiences the antagonism of being defeated by the black woman in front of the white man. Her independence, strength from her salary and circle of friends allows the black man the relaxation of having to worry about her needs. Her independent strain from her salary and circle of friends allows the black woman the relaxation of not having to worry about her needs. She is on the same track as he is, so he relieves himself of the challenge since by the measure she uses, she's on the same track as he, so he relieves himself of the challenge since by the measure she uses, she is his equal. And number 6, likes to have a good time without becoming attached. It's prided by some black men because it too lets him deal with any kind of way he chooses, but avoid the responsibility of dealing with the fallout of after effects. The black women allegedly have become more careful in their sexual involvements because of the HIV and herpes scare. Yeah, okay. But this kind of sexual election only applies if it is a man she is not fond of. If it is a man she likes, she wants to see more of, she still gives up the sex or accepts the one-night stand. Sometimes she does this because she too does not want to make a commitment or have to contend with anything else the black man has other than his body. So these few surface points are made to demonstrate that the black man is in charge of the black woman. Anyway, it's examined because it is he who opens the channels by his permission to allow her to do things that she does. It is a mistake because a man can rise no higher than his woman. The woman in any civilization are indicative of the condition of the men. The black woman is only reflective of the black man's failure to do his job, which is to take care of his woman. So if the black woman is troubled, so is he. No matter how he sciences it up, that he doesn't have anything to do with it, or that she won't give him permission to execute his will, she has lost her memory and she does not remember how to agree. So now we are dealing with two people who don't like each other or have been led to believe that they shouldn't like each other and are now competing and fighting for each other for power in a relationship where both of them are ultimately powerless. Can't win like that. Can't work like that. Won't win like that. Shahrazad Ali, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. The link is in the description for you to get your copy. If you haven't already, you need to get it so you can keep up, so we can read it, and so we can get some understanding and have these good conversations. Remember, like this video, put your comments in the comment section, share this video, let people know about it. Hey, man, hit that super like button as well. Hit that Cash App, that Patreon, whatever y'all need to do to support this channel, please, so we can continue to give back to our community and to pour into our community and this Tallahassee community that I do. And, you know, we're going to continue to do what we do and growing here on YouTube. I appreciate everybody who is continuing to support me in the various ways. I love you all. Make sure y'all catch the next video coming.